Lethal Company is known for its diverse, but equally terrifying entities you may encounter within the facilities. So I thought it'd be interesting to see how I would rank each entity depending on how deadly they are, how scary they are, and just how hard they are to avoid. Obviously, these are my opinions, so feel free to make your own list in the comments below if you'd like. But otherwise, let's get straight into it. 19. Roaming Locusts. To be honest, I'm not even entirely sure what the hell these things do. The wiki states that they are purely for aesthetic purposes and serve no issue to employees, so there's really no reason to be threatened by them. Overall, just a forgettable entity. 18. Manticoil. Also a passive entity. For some reason I always thought you could piss him off enough to get him to attack, but I guess that might have been my paranoia. Who knows? Otherwise, there's not much to say other than this is definitely an alien bird. 17. Baboon Hawk. This entity is basically a worse hoarding bug. They might be able to take your items if you leave them outside, but they do not have the advantage of close quarters, which makes them very ineffective. They're also just not scary because they run away like little most of the time. I mean, yeah, they can get pretty annoying in larger groups, but they are such a small annoyance. They are the easiest aggressive entity to encounter in Lethal Company, by far. 16. Spore Lizard. Another annoying entity that really doesn't do much. He'll usually randomly pop out of a vent mid-exploration. You'll hear him coming because he makes a loud rattle. His mouth is really only for looks though, as he doesn't attack unless you get in their way. Otherwise they just run away like a bitch. Just don't get caught in a corner and you'll forget he even showed up. 15. Snare Flea. The first actually offensive entity within the facility's depths. They're basically just Metroids. They suck your brains out and you're cooked. The good news is, the counter for this entity is pretty much foolproof. Just look up. If anything, they're just landmines but on the ceiling. You may die to these once or twice on your playthrough, but you really shouldn't have to worry too much if you're slightly cautious of your surroundings. 14. Jester. Getting cornered by a Jester with no exit nearby is basically a death sentence. However, if there's any exit within about 50 feet, the Jester is very easy to counter. Just leave! Now, not every situation can be solved this way, as the Jester may camp the main room with no access to a fire exit, which can kill the run. Otherwise, it's just an entity that takes so long to wind up, escape is almost guaranteed. 13. Hygridir. You may be wondering why I put this entity so high on the list, considering he's the slowest in the game. I mean, you can just use a boombox to lure it over, or climb a railing, or just shut the door on him if you need to. The problem is these slimes like to camp a player's last seen location, meaning they love fire exits and main entrances. This can lock players out of the facility, as the slimes act as a death barrier. They may also block the path forward too, meaning you cannot proceed because they're so damn wide, though cutting the run short can be a big hit to your quota. In general, this entity shouldn't cause too many problems unless it blocks the entrance or an exit. 12. Hoarding Bug. This might be one of the most annoying pieces of shit I've ever come across. He takes my items, makes annoying sounds, looks like a cockroach, and on top of all that, they crowd together like a hive mind. Oh yeah, and there's an added bonus, where if you kill one of them, all of them automatically get mad at you. So have fun fighting for those bottles you found, but got swiped by one of these dirty ass bugs. 11. Circuit Bee. Alright, now I get this pick is gonna be outrageous, but just hear me out on this one for a sec. These bees may be passive while in the hive, but they have caused some of the dumbest deaths in any of my playthroughs with friends compared to any other entity. Either the person risking their life will fail and die trying to get the $100 beehive instead of even giving the facility a chance, or the bees will roam and find another player to attack and murder. Usually me. In most cases, I just avoid them entirely. Genuinely would rather fight tons of hoarding bugs any day over retrieving a beehive. 10. Masked. Without mods, masked enemies can actually be pretty manageable, all things considered. I mean, the mask is one of the easiest giveaways to a fake player. Maybe I should have put this guy lower on the list because of that, but honestly, inside the facility, it's dark. Masked enemies can still be quite deadly without a shovel. 9. Earth Leviathan. Oh, not this piece of shit. He's pretty low on the list because he's avoidable in about 60% of the situations that you'll encounter him, on top of only being an outside entity that spawns at night. However, the other 40% of the time, you're usually stranded carrying 100 pounds worth of loot with no cover. Keep in mind, these things are like homing missiles too, as they will slowly make their way over to you, even if you make the slightest noise. Like I said, the only reason he's this low is due to their relatively low spawn chance, with many conditions needing to be met. Can't say the same about other entities on this list though. 8. Nutcracker. Since he only spawns on the last 3 planets, he'll be quite deadly in the end game, but almost non-existent in the early game. His shotgun is quite a useful tool if you're able to pick it up, but you can't reload it in the base game, meaning you're limited to 2 shotgun shells for every Nutcracker you kill. And trust me, it is not gonna be easy. The only way to even get close enough to killing him is by crouching under his shotgun and hitting him with a shovel. Then again, even if you do manage to get under his shotgun safely, he's just gonna kick the fuck out of you, which is a one-shot move. If you don't plan on confronting him head on though, you'll find they have a very slow march and take time to reload. This should make escapes pretty easy as long as you're not trapped in a corner. 7. Thumper, or Crawler I guess. Similar to the eyeless dog, Thumper has no eyes, but their hearing is very strong, pairing that with their speed, and they tend to chase for quite a while. Thumper doesn't necessarily end a run immediately, but he can be quite a nuisance without a weapon. In my opinion, you might just be better off going to a fire exit if you hear him thumping around near the entrance. 6. Eyeless Dog. Another outside only entity, surprisingly. Compared to the Earthworm, eyeless dogs seem to spawn at a much higher rate and usually have about 2 to 3 dogs wandering around the ship by nightfall. This can get tricky as they can hear just about anything that isn't a crouch walk. Sometimes they'll just walk into the ship to check it out, meaning not even the navigator is safe inside the ship. The best way to avoid these dogs is by standing in an open area while crouch walking. Obviously, there's a chance an Earthworm might just pull up and eat you for lunch while you're slowly making your way back, but otherwise, just be aware of your surroundings while walking outside the facility at night. 5. Bunker Spider. Alright, look guys, I'll be honest, I hate spiders, man. Just seeing that giant ass thing perched on the wall in the dark is enough to make me bricks and turn around immediately. Not only that, but they're able to crawl through vents you previously passed, meaning they might block your path as you try to get back to the main entrance. Even more fun is they have the ability to place webs all over where they walk. So not only are you slowed down by these webs, but they will also trigger the spider with any movement. This can absolutely kill a run if a spider manages to surprise the player or block the path toward the exit. Overall, one of the scariest entities within the facility, and I dearly wish I didn't have arachnophobia. 4. Forest Giant. The final outside exclusive entity on this list, but also the most deadly, with almost no counter other than running for your life. Some maps there's just no escape available. The distance between the ship and the main entrance usually indicates how safe it'll be to travel back. On maps like Dine, Rend, or Vow, if you're caught midway to the ship, you're most likely dead due to how fast the giant is with the ability to lock onto the player from far away. Now sure, forest giants are deaf, but what do you really do with that information other than the ability to communicate with your team members? In any case, if you see one spawn, that usually means it's time to get the hell off that planet. 3. Bracken. As soon as Bracken appears, that usually means it's time to leave the facility. He likes to pressure the players until he kills one of them and rarely ever just goes away. He'll tend to hide behind doorways so he can snap your neck when you walk through. The most common counter is to look at him for a split second and run away. But in my experience, he can be very difficult to actually get rid of without a shotgun. Exploration tends to slow down quite a bit when you're having to constantly look over your shoulder to see if he's still hot on your tail. Overall, Bracken can definitely change the dynamic of exploration for the rest of the day and can completely kill the entire run if you're not careful or too greedy. 2. Coilhead. He can quite literally end the round before it even started. Coilheads will lock on and follow the player until they leave the facility or are killed. Looking at Coilhead will prevent him from moving, but then you'll be forced to look at him the entire time while you search for an exit. This makes exploration pretty much impossible since you can't look away without getting insta-killed. And there isn't any other counter in the base game since he can't be damaged. It is practically impossible to avoid Coilhead if he spawns in, which can make him one of the most powerful entities with the ability to halt exploration completely. And finally, the number 1 most deadly and annoying enemy in Lethal Company is Carter. This dude has killed me more than any entity in the entire game. This man should never be trusted with any type of firearm under any circumstance. It's Ghost Girl. Oh, Yeah, she locks onto the player. There's no counter once she locks on, and she will eventually kill you. This makes exploration quite literally impossible. Not to mention, that's a creepy girl who teleports. I hate this build.